Raise your hand if you have ever sat down to plan and thought, wait, what am I supposed to be teaching next week? Been there. But there's one system that completely changed the way I plan, whether it's the first week of school or the middle of May. It's called curriculum mapping, and it's hands down one of the most important tools in my teacher toolbox. Hi there, I'm April. I've been in the classroom for over 15 years, and one thing I'll never stop using, no matter how much experience I have, is a strong curriculum map paired with a solid scope and sequence. In today's video, I'm walking you through a real-world curriculum mapping example that I am using in my classroom, sharing why it matters, even for us veteran teachers, and giving you a peek at my go-to curriculum mapping template that keeps me sane all year long. So grab your favorite beverage, maybe even a notebook and a pen, and let's get started. All right, let's start by breaking it down. What exactly is curriculum mapping? Curriculum mapping is simply laying out what you'll teach and when you'll teach it. Think about it like a GPS for your school year. It helps you avoid those detours, missing turns, or spending 3 weeks reviewing decimals when you haven't even started talking about fractions and you need to be assessing your students. Instead of guessing or jumping around, making U-turns, you're teaching in a strategic and intentional way. You'll know exactly what skills you're hitting and when, and it makes everything else, your lesson planning, assessments, even report cards, so much smoother. So a lot of people want to know what's the difference between a curriculum map and a scope and sequence. I like to think about it as the curriculum map's like the overall guide. The scope and sequence part of that goes hand in hand with curriculum mapping. So how necessarily does it fit in? Think of it like this. Your scope, not sure which one you want to look at there, is what you're teaching. So your content, your skills, your standards. And then the sequence is the order you're going to teach it in. So the timeline of what you're doing. You can think about that like if you are cooking. You have your recipe, you have your cooking steps. Without both of those things, you might end up with undercooked meals or a hot scrambled mess. A very strong scope and sequence is going to ensure that your curriculum builds from unit to unit instead of feeling like just a bunch of things are thrown together. So you might be thinking, okay, but I've been teaching forever. I know what I'm doing, and I totally get that. I've been teaching for a long time as well. But honestly, I still use a curriculum map every year, and I always will. And here's why. 1, I can see the big picture at a glance. 2, it keeps me on track with standards that I need to be teaching. 3, I need to know what's coming before it gets here, especially around holidays, breaks, testing, and any special events that are occurring. And 4, honestly, it makes collaborating with teammates so much easier. When we're working as a team and collaborating, then we're all on the same page. We're not hodgepodging different pieces together. It's making it more cohesive. And when life happens, because it does, then we have that clear plan that we can just tweak and adjust instead of having to completely start over from scratch. This isn't about control, because if you're like me, you love some good control. It is about clarity. Having that clear view of what you are doing and when you are doing it. Even with experience, curriculum maps make it easier to teach with that confidence, and it really reduces decision fatigue. I don't know how you are, but for me, I'm always looking for new ideas and new things. And sometimes decisions just become overwhelming. All right, so I'm going to show you next what a completed curriculum map could look like. This is a sneak peek of my curriculum mapping templates and how I'm using it during the first part of our school year. This is a real example for my 4th grade ELA curriculum and my advanced math curriculum. You're going to see that it's color-coded by different subjects and areas. Each part is going to show the specific big skills and anchor text that I'm using, and I'm going to walk you through that information. You'll see that I can adjust the pacing if we're moving too quickly or if we are going too slowly. And I can even plug in other things like holidays, special STEM activities, or how I can create those cross-curricular units as well. This is in Google Sheets, but you could also do the same thing in PowerPoint, Excel. You can even do paper, pencil to get you started, but I highly recommend using digital because it makes it easier from year to year. Okay, so let's take a look at my curriculum map. Okay, can we have a quick teacher-to-teacher moment? If you've ever found yourself thinking, I just wish someone would help me figure this all out, you are not alone. That's exactly why I started the Teacher Success Club. It's a monthly membership just for upper elementary teachers, where we take on the most important parts of teaching together. Each month, you'll get a short, focused training, time-saving resources, and a practical challenge to help you put it all into action without the overwhelm. Whether it's your first year or your 15th, this is your space for support, clarity, and feeling like, okay, I've actually got this. You can find the link to join us down in the description. Come check it out and see how much easier teaching can feel when you're not doing it all alone. Here's an example. I'm going to show you 2 examples. This is what I created for this upcoming school year for my math curriculum. So the curriculum that we have is 14 units. And what I did is I looked at approximately how many lessons or days each unit is supposed to take. Now, I might have a unit, like this first unit, for example, probably not going to take as long as it says, but I built in buffer time for every single one of these units. I want to make sure that no matter what I'm doing, that I build in that buffer time for any unit. So if it is taking just this amount of time, and then I don't really want to start something before we go on a winter break, I did build in some flex time. You can see there's a lot of flex time here at the end of the year, but that's going to change because of different testing for the state and things like that. So that's why I like using digital, because it's easy to tweak that information. Now, if I go into a little more detail here, so for example, here is my first 4 units in math. So this is our first quarter of the school year. You can break your curriculum map down however you want. You could do it by month, you could do it by quarters, trimesters, semesters, whatever it is that you feel most comfortable with. Personally, I like to do by quarters just because that's mostly how I've taught, is in quarters. So what I do is I have all of my dates up here. I do have some color coding for some days that maybe we don't have school, or that, teacher work days, things like that. So what I did is I pulled our focus question. What are we using to open our unit? What is important vocabulary I want to make sure my students are aware of? And then here are the specific units and lessons for our curriculum. So our curriculum called Reveal Math, Unit 1, Lessons 1 through 6. But you can see that I have 8 days. Well, we know life happens. We know that interruptions happen. So it's okay on my curriculum map to have this broader time period, because then when I go to do my actual
weekly lesson plans, it's not going to be the exact same. It's going to show on my weekly lesson plans, here's what I'm doing each day, and then I can tweak as I need to. This year, I stepped up my curriculum mapping a little bit and I included standards. So this is very simply just a drop down with all of our state standards for math. Now you can see it says 5. That's because I teach advanced math, so I'm actually teaching 5th grade math in 4th grade. Otherwise, I would have used our 4th grade standards. And then I just color coded them based on the content area for math. So like this one, for example, is measurement. Number sense. Over here, we have CA, I think is calculation something. I can't remember off the top of my head. And so then I just choose the standards that are included and aligned for that unit of math. I put in all standards. You could focus on essential standards. That's kind of up to you. Then I have our assessments. What assessments are we giving during that unit? I just left a little blank space there just to have it. Then I have, if I want to do some engagement opportunities, how can I spice up my work? I have some brain dump ideas of things I have. And then maybe I want to offer some enrichment. I do teach high ability, so I want to make sure that my students are being challenged appropriately, so I can throw in some of these activities. And then just some general notes. So what are some things I want to make sure that I include down here for each unit? And then as I'm going through, I can do reflections. So I could break this up by unit. I could do it by just a general, whatever I want. Okay, so that's my overall scope and sequence for units 1 through 4. Then I also made this quarter 1 pacing. So when I looked at some things, I wanted to see, okay, what can I do to make sure that I'm kind of staying on track during that time? And that's why I broke down this pacing. And so then again, when I go to do my specific lesson planning week by week, I don't have to spend as much time thinking. So I just have our school weeks, and then I have what lesson we're doing for each one, if we have an assessment, if we have some flex time, different activities that we can do while we're doing all these things. So again, lots of information there that I can follow through and some reflections. Okay, so that's what math looks like. My ELA, similar, but also different. So we only have 4 units in ELA. We adopted a new curriculum last year, so it looks a little bit different. Basically, since we have 4, I'm like, we should be able to get through 1 a quarter. Is that always perfectly how it happens? No, but that's the idea. Okay, so then you can see my module overview very similar. So since we only have those 4 units, or what they call modules, I didn't do like units 1 through 4. That just didn't make sense. Okay, so for this one specifically, I put, here is this specific unit. Okay, so here's our essential question for the unit. Here are our focusing question tasks, or focusing questions that we use, and then here are our core text that we will need access to while we are completing that part of the unit. Okay, this is a curriculum. It's known as Wit and Wisdom. And so as we're going through, each different focusing question focuses on different tasks, different standards and skills, lots of vocabulary and morphology included, many different things. Okay, so I'm not going to go into too much detail there, but you can kind of see I broke it down into those specific areas. What are the grammar lessons that they are going to be doing? And then when I go to do my specific lesson planning for each day, week, then I can go into more nitty-gritty details. Now, here is where I like to look at how can I create some cross-curricular work. If you're not doing cross-curricular units, I highly suggest that you do, especially when you are curriculum mapping, planning out through a scope and sequence, because then you can see how much really can overlap, and it can save you so much time as a teacher, and it really helps solidify things for the students. So here I put science and social studies because we can alternate back and forth between the two. So this is just purely for me, for my idea. It is not part of our science curriculum that we have. Totally fine. We need to start the school year lighthearted with some team building activities, working through some STEM tasks. So I'm just going to do that. But again, I'm including what standards it is covering through my state. Then our science curriculum, we use Project Lead the Way as our science curriculum. And so here you can see here are the two parts. This is one whole unit. I just have our day that we are not in school for Labor Day. One whole unit though. Am I going nitty gritty at this time? No, I'm not. That again is for later. Okay, and then you can see, okay, we do that for about 4 to 5 weeks. Well, we still have a couple weeks. Go ahead, we can begin work on geography skills for the next unit. Totally okay to do that when we're done with this. Then I've kind of added some extra components down here. So lesson ideas. So there are some things in our curriculum that are lacking. So I want to supplement with using mentor sentences during grammar. I love some good engagement, and so exciting, engaging activities for my students. Enrichment ideas, what they call volume of reading, which would be things like book clubs or independent reading. And then again, a place for reflections. Now, I did include some notes over here. So let's say we have 32 lessons taught over 39 days. That gives us 7 days to work with throughout the quarter. Again, you can see my quarter 1 pacing. How am I doing this? This one, first day of school, we're hitting the ground running. ELA time, we have 90 minutes. If we don't do something during that 90 minutes, woo, that's going to be rough. Okay, but then I also have everything else mapped out. Again, my curriculum has this mapped out for us in terms of when we do these specific question sets or Socratic seminars or reading assessments and things. So I didn't come up with the timeline there. That is something that they came up with. But if you know when you need to do assessments, put those in there. Okay, and then here's where I'm starting to add where I'm going to be putting my slides and things. I'm adding this to my curriculum map just to have everything in a one-stop shop. You can see I haven't made it very far on that yet, which I am okay with. Not okay with how that looks. And then from there, I can just keep adding all of those things that I need, so then it's all right there and I don't have to worry about it. There are also some very common curriculum mapping mistakes that people make. I've made some of these mistakes. You probably have too. So let's just talk about them and let's hope that we can avoid these. 1, we don't want to overplan. So we don't need to fill in every single little box with every single little detail. Leave space as needed for reteaching or those unexpected schedule changes. Build in that buffer time. We also want to avoid making the mistake of ignoring the standards. We can be creative. I love a good creative lesson and units, but our teaching still needs to be aligned to those essential standards. And we also want to avoid the mistake of making it too complicated. The map is a guide. It's not a script. It's not a lockstep thing we're going to follow. It is there to guide us and make it easier for us to plan each day or week's lessons. So if you want a done for you starting point, you can grab my editable curriculum map template down in the description. It comes with multiple formats and it's the same one I use year after year. Teachers have told me it helped them feel so much more in control of their lesson planning, and they loved having the overview as they needed to do more planning within their weekly lessons and collaborating with their teammates. So after this video, check that out in the description below. So once I have built my curriculum map, lesson planning becomes 10 times easier. Instead of opening my planner and looking at a blank page, I already know what skills I'm going to cover and what text or activities I'm going to need. Even better, I can plan in batches. So I love batch planning. I can knock out an entire few weeks worth of reading lessons or science lessons, math lessons, etc. in one small chunk of time because I already have the roadmap ready to go. This is the part that really changed my work week. So I'm no longer spending hours reworking plans. I'm just pulling what I need from my curriculum map and plugging in those details. Instead of guessing what comes next or flipping through your teacher manual on a Sunday night, you already have the big picture. So you can use this to batch plan ahead of time, to spot those gaps before it's too late, and make intentional decisions about what to cut out or what you can extend. That is the power of having a curriculum map that works for you. So now, if you're ready to get started, here's what we're going to do, okay? We don't want to be piecing little snippets of things here and there together week by week. No more. So you're going to start with writing out those essential or core standards for each subject that you are teaching. Plug in those anchor text or big projects or summative assessments that you need to include. Use a calendar or some kind of editable template to map it out month by month, quarter by quarter, etc. And remember, leave room for flexibility. It is a plan. It is not a lockstep. You have to do it and you can't make changes. Okay? Now, again, if this sounds overwhelming, don't worry. I've already done a lot of the heavy lifting for you. Just grab that template linked below and you'll be off to a start in no time. Curriculum mapping is just one part of feeling confident in your classroom. If you're looking for monthly support like coaching or editable resources, planning tools, and a community that just gets it, then you should check out the Teacher Success Club. It's a monthly membership designed for upper elementary teachers who want to stay on top of things without burning out. We focus on planning, classroom routines, seasonal prep, and the kind of real talk that actually helps. Every month, we tackle what matters most in our classroom, from establishing those routines to prepping for testing. And everything we create is made for upper elementary teachers like you and me. So if you're ready to feel supported all year long, come join us inside the Teacher Success Club. You don't have to do this alone. You can check that out in the description below. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. If this video helped you feel more confident about curriculum mapping or lesson planning, go ahead and hit the like button and subscribe. I've got more videos coming out that will walk you through back to school prep, classroom management, and seasonal teaching tips. Don't forget to check out those links in the description below. And until next time, I love this journey for you.